Hi, it's Aaron, and in this video you're about to watch about costing and margins and markups and the critical difference to know between the two. It's a very important video, but I just wanted to add this little video in before that one starts because when you think about it, it's early days in your trade partner journey. You're going to have to keep the sort of margins a little bit lower until you build up your reviews and your case studies on your website, and you've got more to sort of showcase to the customer. If you are starting from practically scratch, I'd keep the margins lower early on and build up to the sort of ideal bracket, as you'll find out in a bit. So you want to be aiming sort of in the ideal bracket, but the lower end, just to make sure that you're winning jobs and you've got enough jobs coming through to build reviews, build case studies, and then over the next couple of years, then you can start pushing your prices up. But just make sure that early days you don't just jump in, put in big markups on when you're going to find it hard to convince customers early on. So just bear that in mind. But watch the video, please enjoy it. It's quite a longish video, but I think it needs to be because this is the bit that tradespeople always get wrong, the pricing. So I think you'll find it very useful. All right, well, jump in and enjoy it. See you soon. Bye-bye. This video is about costing your jobs properly, and we're going to look at markups versus margins, where you need to be and how to be consistent. This is probably the most important video you will watch. If you're looking to grow your business, do more than just sort of your sole trader type work, and you're looking to take a step up, this is the video that's probably going to stop you from failing, because the way you quote your jobs and price everything up is what will trip you up if you're not careful. As you probably may know, we have our own installation company, and the very first company I had actually failed many years ago now, when I was new to the game, because we all go from tradesmen up to trying to run a business, and that's where the lack of knowledge and support basically catches us out, because we start doing things with a little knowledge, which is dangerous. And I failed the first time round because I was doing things wrong, wasn't quoting properly, wasn't doing things right. Basically, the business ran out of financial steam, and that business had to go, and I had to start again, and it was very painful. So we want to avoid anything like that happening to you, our trade partners, and this video will give you a lot of knowledge on how to avoid running your business into the ground, because it's easier to do than you think, and it will all start with how you're pricing your jobs up. So the purpose of this presentation is to steer clear of the most common pricing mistakes that most people make, including myself many years ago. So I'm telling you this not from a position of preaching. I'm telling you from a position of experience and the pain that I went through to recover from, because it wasn't easy to pull everything back after the failure. So it's just making sure that you understand how to avoid that, and understand also, even if your business doesn't fail as a result, it can stay in the struggle for a long time. So getting this wrong, obviously getting it disastrously wrong makes you fail, but just getting it slightly wrong can just make you struggle, and that's not a good place to be. Why not correcting this will lead you to failure, as I've just said. I've been there, done that. It's not good, and it can be easily avoided. So then we'll look at how to price up properly and make a margin to sustain a business, especially if you want to grow a business. It takes cash to grow a business. Not always loads, but you need to have some surplus available to be able to spend on stuff. So, if you're not quoting properly, that surplus just will never be there. So again, if this is the first video you've ever watched, I'm sorry if you've watched many before, but just in case it's the first one, I'll introduce myself. I'm Aaron Dronsfield. Been in the industry now for nearly 20 years. I've run my own business for 10 years. Like I said, the first couple of years of that were very painful years. We are an installation business of our own. We're not just a supplier, so we run our own installation companies, more than one. And we're multi-award winning in the retail sector, and we also work in the contracts new build sector as well. And we're a 7-figure business and growing very quickly ourselves on the installation and supply side. So we're a very strong company. This year in our installation businesses, we've looked at doing 1,200 installations, and we'll do even more next year. And I'm the founder of KBB Supply Services. Again, through the pain that I've had over the last 10 years and how the industry's stacked against us as installers, we believe here at KBB that the industry's upside down. The big sheds, the showrooms, and all the people other than us seem to take all the money out of the job and leave us picking up the pieces. And we want to empower installers who are the true experts to be independent and run their own businesses. So that's the purpose of this company, is to supply you, be a great supplier, and give you the support you need to be standing on your own 2 feet and grow, tapping into our experience from what we've learned through our own installation companies. And we're there to help you all the way through. So moving on to the content, the most common mistake what we get when we're tradesmen, and again, like I said, I've done it, it's confusing markup and margin. Now, the sort of blanket answer everyone sort of gives you is when you how you're pricing a job up. Everyone says, "Oh, I had 20% on," but adding 20% on is not a 20% margin, and that's where a lot of people get mistakes in the numbers, because a 20% markup is a 16% margin, and it might not sound very different, but it is. And 16% is not anywhere near enough to run a business, or even, have that money to one side for when your van breaks down, or you need a new set of tires, and or you've got another problem that needs sorting out, or a job gets paid late and you've got to have a bit of cash available to keep going for another week or two. 16% is nowhere near. It's the margin that you need to survive, not the markup. So what's the difference? Let's take a look. Markup is what you add on to your costs. So your base costs is the markup, is the amount you put on top, obviously, markup. The margin is two things. You've got your gross margin, which is the percentage of the sales invoice that you get to keep to pay your overheads with. So for instance, you might have a gross margin of, say, 30 or 40%, which is where you need to be, really. And the net margin, once you've paid your overheads, would be, 15, 20%. A net margin of 15, 20% is healthy. A gross margin of 15, 20% is not, because you will wipe that out paying for stuff that, your overheads, your, just cost of running your company. It won't be free. If you're doing marketing, you've got van insurance, you might have a little lockup, you might have just all the costs that go towards running a business. So you need to know that margin comes in two forms. You've got your gross margin, like I've said, that's the percentage of your sales invoice that you get to keep after you've paid the labor and materials in every job. So if you look at, say, like a 10 grand job and it costs you 6 grand to do it, your gross margin on that job is 4 grand. So if you've done a few jobs that month that have all made 4 grand, you put them together, you pay your overheads out of those gross margins on each job, and then you pay your overheads out of that. What you've got left is the net margin. So this is really critical to know, and to make sure that you're calculating things properly as you're building your business or trying to just make a better life for yourself. So we need markup to cover the costs of running our business and make a profit. Like I've said, we need money to make the business work, to invest in the business. If you want to grow it, you need money. You need to be able to market yourself, and you might have to put a few £1,000s into marketing before you see a return. So it's like chicken and egg situation. You have to be patient with those things, and the rewards come, medium term. Sometimes short term in marketing, but that's just an example of a cost that you might have to consider: a new vehicle, tools, stuff like that. So you need money in the business to keep you fresh and keep things moving, and keep you focused on what you should be doing. And then obviously you need a profit as well. So what's happening in your life. Do you want that new house, that new car, that the new things, the better lifestyle, the holidays? You need the profit there to provide you the reward for putting up with the hassle of running a business. Otherwise, what's the point? So that's why it's important to get this right, for all those reasons. Look after yourself, look after the business, look after your customers. And if you do all those things, everyone's happy. So how much should you mark up? Well, it depends how much money you need to run your business. If you've got big overheads, you might want to mark up a little bit more. Um, if it will depend on how your numbers work. The best thing to do is to speak to your accountant, or maybe email us and send us your numbers in, and we can give you some advice. But we're not financial advisors, but we've been doing this a long time, so we can help you. But I have done some examples here so you can get your head around a little bit, and you might realize where you are in this at the moment. So markup versus margin examples. So this is my own opinion. This is stuff that I've learned. So I've done all the different markups on the left-hand side with the margins next to it. And as you can see, 20% is 16%, 30% is 23% margin, 40% markup is 28% margin. So you can see the differences now. You'd think by marking up 50%, you'd be getting more than a 33% margin, but that is what it is. But the numbers don't always make sense in our head at the time that we're just working it out. So that's where, when we fall into that trap of, I just stick 20% on it, it isn't the way forward. That is the way to make your life a misery. So as you can see, we've got the examples there. So I've put, obviously, these into categories: too low, ideal, and perfect. So too low would mean you got cash flow issues. The cash would hurt, no rainy day funds, there's no investment money, stressful work environment, and probably a poor lifestyle for the owner, because there's probably not much left after everything to give you what you want. And bearing in mind, this is if you're looking at growing a business. If you're a sole trader, you're earning good money, that's fine. But, there's also a point to that where you have to start thinking at some point, kitchen industry is very, very, successful, let's say. And, working on the tools as a sole trader yourself, unless you're making a lot of money and you're saving a lot of money, you've got a good retirement plan, it's probably going to make more sense to try and grow your business a little bit, because otherwise you just work till you die. And that's not something that you want to do, especially not in an industry where it's screaming out for people like you to take this on and grow a little business, get yourself to do more installations, get yourself a bit more off the tools. There's the industry screaming out for people like you to do that. There's too many of the other types, the big sheds, the showrooms, who haven't got a clue, making everyone's life a misery. And this is your opportunity, really, to think differently and make more money from now up to retirement, and have a proper business. So, like I've said, these are based on you trying to grow a business. This is what this video is about. So too low, like I've just said. So a 23% margin, still really low. Ideal, I've put 28% ideal. It's only on the cusp of ideal. 33%, 37, and 41. There for me, where you really want to be. In that middle bit, you've got protection against payment delays, because let's face it, if you're doing more jobs, there's going to be times where something happens, shit happens, and you have to wait a week or two for your money to come through, and you just have to suck it up. Now, if you've got cash in the bank, you've made a few quid on the last few jobs, and you think, right, I'll be late on that one, but I've got the cash here and it's not really going to hurt me. You'll be a lot more relaxed about things. You'll have money to invest into the business and the marketing, and you'll have a pretty good lifestyle, because you're managing your business properly, you're quoting properly, and everything's good. Now, if you can get up to the 40, 50% margins, it's difficult to get there. I'm not going to say it's easy. In our businesses, we float between 30 and 40%. Sometimes some of jobs jump up to 45%. But it is difficult to get up to that high unless you're doing something that's really bespoke and it's really sort of specialist, and you can just charge what you want for it. But generally, between 37 and 44 is where you'd want to aim. But really, anything no less than 33, I think if I was churning out a business that was doing a 33% margin, I'd be happy. 37, I'd be happier. 41, that's sort of, brilliant. But again, the higher ones are difficult to get. But, anything that's, is difficult to get is always going to have the biggest rewards. And if we got there, obviously, our financial cushion to invest outside of the business, healthy marketing budget, money to save, great lifestyle for yourself. Because the great thing about the type of business that you would have is if you made enough money, you could invest in things outside of the business, like property. You'd have surplus cash to take out and go and buy a house with and invest in other areas. That's what I've done over the years. And, there's only so much money you need to reinvest back into an installation company, because there's realistically so many installations you can do. So the higher margins you get, the more money you can take out to do other things with in other areas of your life and benefit your retirement plans in other ways other than just kitchens. But again, it all starts with understanding the markups, margins, and how you're quoting your jobs. It's how you'll live and die by these numbers, and hopefully that makes sense, where you've got the different cause and effects of being too low, ideal, perfect, and what the numbers are behind each one of those things. So again, I've trying to make you think about, again, this is just another graphic, and all I've changed here is the business owner traits. Now, when I speak to people about these numbers and I drill into the detail on what they're doing, how they're doing it, because I do meet most people that sign up with us, so I do get to know people and understand where the business is at and how we can help them. And what these are the things that generally come out. So if we're looking at jobs where the margins are too low, there's usually very little marketing effort, too busy working in the business and not on the business. So when we say that, we mean fitting the kitchen, doing the donkey work, the ordering, the stuff, the invoicing, and all that. That's working in your business. Working on your business is building marketing and building the things that make your business run better, focusing on your processes. That's working on your business. Things that make your business work better or enhance it in any way is what we regard as working on the business. In the business is the stuff that you're doing to earn the money. Whereas the ideal world is you're working on the business most of the time, in the business sometimes, obviously, but the more on the business stuff you can do and the less in the business stuff you can do, the better. So these people usually do hardly any of working on the business. They'll be confusing activity with achievement. So this is a big one, because when I speak to people, it's like, well, I've got all this on, I've got that on, but really, what's the plan here? Where's this going? It sounds to me like you're going to work until the day you drop dead. And, the things that feel positive are activity. There's not achievement in terms of business sense. There's more you could be doing. The thing is with this, what you got to realize is it's a super lucrative market, kitchens, and it's not exploited enough. There's a reason why these big companies do tens of millions and Howdens do billions, because no one else is there. No one else is doing it. No one's putting the effort into the marketing that they are. And that's why they clean up, because they're too busy making us busy with, activity. And they're the ones that are taking the achievement. So it's just good to know where you're positioning yourself, and are you confusing activity with achievement? Is this path that I'm on taking me to a better place, or is it just flatlining until the day I literally can't lift tools up anymore? If that's the case, then you're definitely focusing more on activity than achievement. Achievement would be growing something that can sustain after you've gone and still provide for you. If you can't work for a week or two, or you hurt yourself, your business can carry on. Building things on your business that achieving things would better your life in so many ways. And in a market where you can earn so much money, I can guarantee 95% of the people watching this video could earn more money and could build a better business. I'd be very, very shocked and surprised. It usually isn't the case that everyone's maximizing everything that they could be doing to better themselves, the families, and all the rest of it. And that's what we're really passionate about helping you do. So again, too low, very little marketing effort, working in the business and not on the business, confusing activity with achievement, poor supplier arrangements, i.e. not getting good rates, not getting poor service. And sometimes a lot of these people are working for the wrong customers. So they're fitting kitchens that have been bought elsewhere, usually, and they're only making money on literally like either a day rate or the price for fitting the kitchen. And it's good wages, but it's not setting the world on fire for their future. it's just a job at the end of the day, that and that's not really, I'd imagine, where a lot of people want to be. They want to do better than that, and in such a opportunity rich industry, there's no reason really why you shouldn't be trying to do more than that. So the people in the middle, the ideals, usually have a good level of effort on the marketing. They're working on the business for 5 to 8 hours a week, which might be an hour a day, 2 hours a day of just, right, look at the marketing, look at, streamlining a business, recruiting another fitter. There's lots of things that you can be spending your time doing here. And if you're putting your head in that place, you're going to start growing. So they're achieving things each week. They've got good supplier relationships, and they're working for the right customers most of the time. Now, no matter how good we are at picking the right customers, we cock it up every now and then, don't we? We sometimes pick a bad one, and but again, as long as we're getting it right 8 to 9 times out of 10, things that's as good as we're going to get. So when you get into the higher margin businesses, you're 40%, even 37 really, I would put into this bracket. But you usually got really good marketing, good website, good effort around the marketing. There's lots of stuff going on. They're working on the business 2 days a week. Excellent supplier partnerships. So they're sticking with one supplier. They've got a good partnership. They know how each other works. I built my business off my suppliers. I can tell you that now. If you're jumping around, buying gear from here, buying gear from there, you're not really gelling with anyone. Makes your life a lot harder when you're trying to grow a business, because you need support. Especially if you're doing 4 to 6 jobs a month, you need to be able to get problems sorted quickly. And if you don't have solid relationships with suppliers, you will have a lot of pain. Usually these people as well, they pick the jobs they want and they turn away the ones that they don't, and they achieve things in business. And in our installation businesses, that's where we are. We do excellent marketing. We work on our business a lot. We have great relationships with our suppliers, and we pick and choose the jobs we want, and we achieve things. But it's interesting that we all start in the red zone. Like I've said, I started in the red zone. Failed miserably, started again, and then we've worked our way through that, and it takes time. But again, with our trade partner program, we're trying to, let's just say, for instance, that journey could take, I don't know, 5 to 8 years to really do, which sounds like a long time, but it's not. With the support that we're giving, we think we can get people into a really good place within 2 years. Again, we're not going to start saying, well, 6 months you'll be here. But you might be, but it will depend on how much effort you put in as well. It's really important to be aware that this responsibility rests on you, and tapping into the support you've got is critical, and having a plan to move forward is really a clever thing to do. This industry, there's a lot to be earned in this industry, and I can guarantee that you can be significantly better off if you put some thinking into this, and working your way to the green is really where you want to be. It might feel uncomfortable. You think, I don't want to own my own business and don't want to do this, don't want to do that, and that's fine. But you just have to accept that everything comes at a cost. Running a business or growing a business, especially in this industry, will mean, you put up with a bit more shit. You have to trust some other fitters, and that might not be comfortable for you. It's not for me, even till this day. I still wake up most days and think, what's going to go on today? But you wouldn't have the life you've got if you just couldn't let go of that, and just sometimes accept you've got to deal with it. Again, it's not like your life's a misery, but you've got to, if you're not willing to let go of things, you're not willing to do things, and you just got to accept that, well, the big goals will never be mine because I can't let go of these things. And the price I will pay for that is that when I get to retirement age, I won't be as financially stable or free as I wanted to be. And that's the price you'll pay for everything. And again, the price you'll pay for pushing the boat out, putting a lot of effort in, is, you're a bit more crap, but you'll have a bit more money to play with and enjoy your life in other areas, so it balances out. And this is what I'm saying, there's a cost for everything. So you just need to be aware of, what you want to do moving forward. But again, how you're pricing your jobs here will have direct impact on how you progress moving forward. So where do you need to be? Well, it depends. You'll have to work this out, speak to your accountant, but we'll give you some examples. So my opinion is avoid less than a 30% margin. 30 to 40% is where I would advise if you're looking to grow. Bigger jobs are usually lower margin, so avoid jobs that are too big. Again, just my opinion. Some of you might love big jobs. I hate them. The perfect size job for me is between 10 and 20 grand in my experience. So 40% margins are possible with the right marketing and supply chain discounts. So that's exactly what I've said on the previous page. If you've got good supplier relationships, you've got good marketing, you've got a good customer journey, you will get around the 40%, sometimes more. And that's a fantastic place to be. That's when you've got cash coming in, you've got surplus cash at the end of the month. The world's your oyster at that point. And once you get a taste for that, you won't want to let it go. But getting there isn't as difficult as you think. You just need to, crack on with, a lot of the stuff in the hub that we're providing you here will get you there. I've no doubt about that. And just helping us, getting in touch with us to help you. So bigger jobs, the reason why I say bigger jobs are usually a lower margin, that's not because you price them up as a lower margin. It's because bigger jobs become nightmares quickly, and the more trades you have involved and the more people you have involved. Again, I don't know how you would run your business. Would you get involved in all the taking the walls out, the tiling and plastering and all the rest of it? Everyone's different. Customers want usually someone that can do everything, and that will always win you more work, but it will bring you more hassle. My experience is when we've had jobs that have gone into 30, 40, 50 grand, they don't make what you think. And it's very difficult to renegotiate with customers halfway through a job, because sometimes there's things you've not seen. And, it's just a can of worms. Everyone's different. You might enjoy them types of jobs. We personally have never enjoyed them. And we just advise people now, you want a job where you're out, in and out in a week or two, max 2, maybe 3, but you don't want to be there for too much longer. Your job's taking forever, starts eating up your time. You become a project manager. You need to keep it sort of simple, and just the right size job with the right customer and lots of them is where you want to be. A quickish turnaround. As soon as you get into a job that's going to be going on for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, it just, in my experience, just gets messier and messier, and your costs just disappear and your time disappears with it. And you end up giving a poorer service to everybody else because of this one job that you've took on that you thought you were going to make loads of money on, and it usually doesn't work out. And again, I'm not trying to scare you off the big jobs. I'm just saying, be careful. They're not always what they seem to be. Right, so gross and net margin. So we've just to recap on that. Because the gross is the percentage of the sales invoice that you get to keep to then pay your overheads with. This is the margin we've talked about so far. Net margin is what you have, is when you've paid your overheads and what you pay tax on. So sales invoicing, pay your job costs, what you got left is your gross margin. Then you'll have to keep that money to pay your overheads. And then what you got left after paying your overheads every month is your net margin, or over the year, however you would calculate it. So, you might look at your accounts monthly, quarterly, annually. Try and look at them, I would say, quarterly, just because of the way jobs work. A month is too small, in my experience, to really look at numbers. But just look at your overheads, what they are on a monthly basis. So I'll be looking at, if I've got 10 grand's worth of overheads and each job's making me 4 grand, I want to be winning at least 4 jobs, because that would give me 16 grand gross profit. To pay me 10 grand overheads, I've still got 6 grand left. And in the overheads would be my salary as well. So what's left is literally, that is profit, not your wages. So your wages would be part of the overhead. So where do you need to be? Again, just alluding to the example I've just given you. Let's assume your fixed costs are, your overheads are £10,000 a month. Now this might be van lease, a little office, a phone answering, website, Google AdWords. You might have £2,000 worth of marketing costs and admin, and you might have a bookkeeper and an accountant. So what else would you have? Insurances, maybe energy bills if working from an office or home. Just general insurances as well. Staff, just anyone that you need, anything that it takes every month that you have to pay these things every month. You cannot avoid these things. That is your overheads. Now you might put your own salary in there. So you might go, right, well, I'm going to take £4,000 a month or thereabouts. That's going to be in. So my overheads, including my salary, are £10,000 a month. Right, okay. So let's just say the average kitchen is worth £10,000. Again, I'm just doing this for easy maths. And that might be £10,000 plus VAT if you're VAT registered, but let's just say your net number is £10,000. So if you've got your average job is worth £10,000 and you're making a 40% margin, £4,000. Again, this is just for easy maths. Let's just say you're making £4,000 a job, then you need 2.5 jobs a month to break even. So you need to do 2.5 jobs a month. So that's 4, 8, 10. You need that every month in the bag to cover your overheads. So if you don't do those 2.5 jobs, you're under your overheads. You are then losing money. It's costing you money to operate the business at that point. So what we would want to do is look at it winning at least 3. So 3 jobs would be 3 times 4,000 equals 12,000. Minus your 10,000 overhead would leave you with 2,000. That's not really enough. So 24,000 over the year, if that was every month, you'd be sort of, say, struggling, but you wouldn't have a lot of money left to sort of cover the rainy day, the van that needs a service, the van that breaks down, or the tools that need replacing. You'll easily eat through 24,000 if you're looking to grow as well. So let's just say you did 6 jobs a month and you would make 14,000. So this would be 6 times 4,000 equals 24,000 minus which would be your gross margin. So this 6 times 4,000 profit would be 24,000 gross margin. Take away your 10,000, which would leave you with the 14,000. So if you could get to that point, the sweet spot, if you're just going to run a local business, I think is 4 to 6 installations a month. So if you could get a business where you were running 4 to 6 installs a month, and you were making, on a kitchen supply and fit job, you really should be making at least 3,000. So even if these numbers probably aren't a million miles out, this 10,000 is probably a bit high for what you would have. But this is also a bit high, the 4,000 maybe it'd be between 3 and 4. But that is possible. Making 3 to 4,000 on a supply and fit kitchen is really where you need to be aiming. No less than 2,500 anyway per job. But let's just say your overheads were 8,000. Let's say your overheads were 8,000, 7 maybe. If you're just starting out, they're not going to be over 10 anyway. So these numbers aren't that unrealistic. These are possible with the right effort put in. Obviously, to get to 4 to 6 jobs a month, it's you need to be doing some marketing, obviously. But if you've got, if your marketing costs are factored into the £10,000 here, and let's just say these numbers were true for a second. So, if your £10,000 costs, there's £1,500 in there for marketing. We've done all this stuff here. We've done 6 jobs. Each one of them's made 4,000. We've made 24,000 gross margin. Now we're paying our overheads 10,000. We're left with 14,000. That's 140, 150, 60k a year profit, which is possible. Don't look at that and think, well, that'll never happen. It'll never happen. If you say it'll never happen, it will happen, or it's got a very high chance of happening if you actually embrace the fact that it's possible. I know it's possible because I've done it. So, don't look at this and think that, oh my God, that's a bit out of reach. It isn't. Again, look at the Trade Partner Program. Look at all the stuff that we're offering as a support with marketing, websites, all the rest of it. If you put the effort in, and use the support that we're giving you. I have no reason, absolutely no reason really why, unless you live in a bad area and there's no houses for 20 miles, then really 4 to 6 jobs a month within a sort of 10 to 15 mile radius where you live is possible. It's really possible, it's doable. So anyway, that's where you need to be if you want to grow. That's just a quick example. So looking at this, at 6 jobs, you would turn over 60k. So obviously 6 times 10, that would make a gross margin of 24,000, which is 40%, and then a net profit margin. So this is where your net and gross are coming in again, because net is before we paid our overheads. Sorry, gross is before we paid our overheads. Net is after we've paid our overheads. So we've got 40% here and 20% there. As I've said before, 10 to 20% net margin on your business is pretty good. So you won't be struggling at that point if you can get it there. Which again, if you're quoting properly, your marketing has to be right as well. Remember this, it's not like you can just go in and start charging what you want. Your marketing has to be done right. You've got to have a good website. You've got to have a good quotation. You've got to be following up. You've got to be professional. You can't just be whacking margins up on things, because customers will go, like, that's expensive. If you're turning up in a van covered in crap, fag packet quoting, and thinking you can just add what you want on, that will not work. You need to understand that to get away with this level of markup and margin and all the rest of it, and to build a proper business, you have to look like a proper business as well, which is that's the easy bit really. Good website, good customer journey, map all that out. Again, there's loads of videos in the hub to help with all this, but if you did that, you got the website sorted, you did some proper marketing, you had your branded brochures that you can get from us, and you're turning up looking the absolute part, that customer's not going to bat an eyelid that you're £1,000, £2,000 more expensive than the next guy, because you will look like the man. And that's what the whole purpose of this is to get you to this place. But the thing is that you can't just, like I say, don't just take this video as, I'm just going to go and mark everything up now, without putting the effort into the other stuff first. I mean, you could still increase your markups and just be more aware of it. You might already be in a very good position to think, actually, I think I could get away with that. Just try it. But again, if it doesn't work, the chances are it's not working because there's something wrong. There's something wrong in your customer journey. The customer's not perceiving the value in what you're offering there for some reason, and you need to get to the bottom of that. So back to this. So gross margin I've said is there, net margin 20%. So the calculation is turnover. So what you've invoiced for everything in that month minus all your job costs, labor and materials. That equals your gross margin. You then minus your overhead costs, so the fixed costs that you have to pay out every month. Sorry, it jumped up around there. So then you've got turnover minus all job costs, that's your labor and materials, that equals your gross margin, which we pay our overheads from. So minus our overheads, we then left with a net margin. Yep, so take a bit of time to get your head around that. But like I've said, understand that you can't just get away with it. You need to have the trustworthy website, the trustworthy process, be professional, turn up properly, do the quote properly. There's loads of videos in the hub about all this. So you've got all the resources here to do this and implement everything. And then there's really no reason why you couldn't get to something similar to this example what I've put on here. This is what, if we work with people closely in the trade partner program, this is the sort of model we're going to be pushing them towards with our help. So you just need to, tap into us for that help, or get back in the hub, watch all the videos and start implementing everything as soon as you can. So as we've just said, this is why small margins and from low markups will make your life a misery. Not doing those things. So you can see from the previous examples of if you're not marking up properly, you're not getting the margins, your life is going to be very difficult. Even if you're only doing one job at a time, if you're not making enough money, you can still struggle, but you'll struggle a lot more if you're trying to grow at all. If you're trying to grow at all, you need to get that right. Again, I got it wrong early on, and it made my life a misery to the point where the business failed. And then I had to start again. and then I got help and support. And like, what have I done wrong here? But yeah, life was very miserable for quite a long time because I was getting that wrong. And again, I'm saying this from experience, I'm not preaching. So just a reminder, again, we're just going to keep coming back to this because it's a really pertinent why they have to get this right. Cash flow issues, if it's too low, stressful, poor lifestyle. If it's ideal, you've got protection against payment delays, money to invest in the business and marketing, and decent lifestyle. If you get it really right, you've got the utopia of cushion to invest in the business and take money out of the business to do other things and have a great lifestyle for yourself. Just a summary, the gross margin, sales invoice value minus the cost to deliver the job is your gross margin. Net margin is what's left after the job costs and overheads are paid. Boom. That's what we've been through. If you want to go through some of the... So if you're working a job out, basically, and you think, right, I haven't got the tools right now to work this out. There's some calculators online. Again, I still use these today because sometimes I've just not got something to hand and I just go into my browser and I have this saved as you can see on my browser here, I've got Markup and Margin calculator into the browser. So I just click on them, and then if I've got right, I'm going to charge that and I'm going to put that in, right, what does that work out at? And it's just a quick tool for you to understand. So you might be looking at a job, so you might not, I won't quote a job like that, but I'd look at a job's viability like this. I'd say, right, it's going to cost me $6,000. Really, what do we need to charge to make the money that we need to make on that job to make it worthwhile? And then I'd make a decision. And if we're going to go ahead with it, then I'll send that into the office to be quoted up properly. But I sometimes might start here to just understand if I'm interested or not. So it's just useful tools, stuff that you can tap into very quickly. And obviously the calculatorsoup.com calculators is where you need to be. So come back to that if you need to. So being consistent with this as well, because it's all right today watching this video, oh yeah, I get all that, and then doing nothing with it. That is just not the way forward. So we need to be consistent with it, and we need to update. So our pricing is something, especially with the way prices are at the moment, they're not going down, are they? So we need to be fresh and current with this. So using software or a spreadsheet. So if you have a nice piece of quoting software that works all this out for you, fantastic. If you haven't, then this is where you might come unstuck. But you can use a simple spreadsheet for each job. Again, early days, that's where we started, and it's fine. You have a spreadsheet for every job. So every job you go to see, you create a new spreadsheet for, and you just manage your costs within that spreadsheet for each job. If you're only doing 4 jobs a month, 4 to 6 jobs a month, that is easily manageable. You don't need to overthink this with, I need this really expensive piece of software and I need all the bells and whistles. When you've got loads of cash in your business or enough cash in your business, then you can start thinking about, advanced pieces of job management software. But early on, right now, I wouldn't overcomplicate it. We've created a spreadsheet for you in the hub with a tutorial on how to use it. So this will help you quote, manage the costs in the job, and it'll tell you all these margins. And I've done a video on this, on how to use it exactly. And you'll find it very useful. It will give you clarity on every job on, right, that's what I've quoted, that's what my margins are, that's what my markups are. Then once the job becomes live, you can then track your costs within it, and it'll tell you exactly where you're at throughout the job. And at the end of it, you'll know if it went right or wrong. And that then gives you the knowledge moving forward to think, well, why did I lose 500 quid on that job? Well, that guy cocked that up and maybe might have done that, So it's just learning process. But if you're not getting to, if you're doing jobs at the minute and you're not getting to the end of it and then reviewing it to go, right, did it go right or wrong? Clearly, you're flying in the dark, because if you then start adding more installations into that sort of system and you're not doing them right, which you're highly unlikely to be doing them right if you're not tracking it. I can guarantee you now, if you can't improve what you don't track. You must track these things, because if you go in a bit off kilter, you need to look at it and go, right, I've lost consistently £300 to £400 on the last few jobs. Why is that? There might be a product that's gone up in price and you haven't noticed. There might be someone's overcharged you for something. Now, it might not be something for you to have a problem with someone about, but you know moving forward, right, I need to add that money into the next quotes. So I'm not losing that money. But if you're not tracking it, you won't know. Like I said, quoting software, we have a spreadsheet in the hub and there's a tutorial on how to use it. Obviously, we have our own software for designing where you can do a quote, which you've got access to. If you haven't, email us, we can give you access to the full design software, and there's a video in the hub about that as well. But that software is designed and gives you a nice fancy quote. I would still use the spreadsheet to put your numbers into to make sure your margins are there. Don't just rely on this and just like put stuff in. I'd use them side by side. So I'd go, right, I've designed it here. I've created a nice quote. If you're going to create a quote in the software, but use the spreadsheet to make sure your margins are right. Make sure your markups and your margins are bang on, because obviously it's important. So update the job costs in real time. So again, on the spreadsheet that we've provided you, there's you can add the costs in, so receipts, labor invoices, all the rest of it, and it will keep the job up to date. Keep any product prices up to date. But again, if you're using this software, this piece of this spreadsheet, you're going to be adding your product costs in sort of like, right, that's what the kitchen's going to cost, I put that in. That's what the tiles are going to cost, put that in. So, but just if you have got a database of prices and especially labor rates, make sure you keep them up to date. Again, in that spreadsheet, just watch that video, that will make sense. Benchmark labor rates. You want to keep people working for you. If you're employing people, decent rates of pay will always keep them interested. You know, there's a balancing act here. If you're going to take people on, well, they've got to accept that you're putting up with hassle to get them work. So there's a happy medium here on how you pay them. Price work would be better. We'll have some content on prices on what to pay people if you need it. Give us a shout. Have put an expiry date on your quotes. Re-quote if the job has expired. So if you quoted a customer 6 weeks ago for a kitchen, they come back and say, right, I want it done. Go through that quote again. Prices might have changed. You know, the suppliers just put the prices up like overnight. So if you go, all right, okay, Mrs. Jones, we'll do that for you, right? Send your deposit over, and then you get your invoices in, and you get in charge an extra 400 quid. You've made the mistake at that point. It's very difficult, and it's embarrassing to go back to the customer at that point. So, you know, it just makes you look unprofessional. So at least say to her, right, okay, but I need to go and re-quote it, make sure there's been no price changes, and then I'll come back to you. Don't settle for anything less than you need, and don't accept work out of desperation. This is important because we've all done it at times, usually with the bigger jobs as well. It's difficult not to accept a job when it feels like it's really quiet and you think, oh, I could really do that cash, or you know, it's not. We've all been there, and it is difficult. I'm not saying you'll be able to do it all the time, but just be aware when you are accepting a job that you don't really want to do, or you think a bit hassly, but I need it. Just be aware that you're in that mindset of I wouldn't normally take this on, because usually what happens is you'll take it on, and then a good job will come up about a few days later, and you'll be like, God, I should have just waited and just I've got a better job now that I could have put into that slot in the diary, and you'll kick yourself. So just through your own morale, not accepting the works out of desperation, and that's just being consistent with how you do things, and getting the result of the margins and the profit, because sometimes the jobs that you accept that you don't want, something will go wrong. It just does. Get the right suppliers around you. Again, get a supplier and stick with it. You know, jumping around to all different places is just a nightmare, especially if you're going to be, taking on more work. You don't want loads of suppliers involved. Well, if you do, good luck to you, because it's tricky. So I'd go, right, if I'm doing bathrooms, I'm going to use one, or bathrooms are a bit trickier, obviously, because you might have to use 2 or 3, but stick to the ones that you use for certain types of products. You know, kitchens, you might go, right, I get my handles from there or there, doors and carcasses from there, worktops from here. and keep it like that, and deviate only if you really, really have to. A customer really wants something that you can't provide, then maybe add in like a special item into the quote. But I'd keep your life simple. If you just go shopping around for everything all the time, your jobs will become a nightmare to manage. And again, that will impact your costs, because your time will be going on things that aren't productive, and that will have a snowball effect on the service you're providing and the profitability of each project. So thank you. It is an important video, this. Please watch it again. As I said at the beginning, this is where I cocked it up and it hurt a lot. And I don't want you to do the same. Tap into us, go to the hub and watch the content that we've put in there. If you need help, email us. Whatever your query is, just get in touch with us. We can book a call in if needed, if you're in a pickle.